Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Take Profit Trading, and we're going live here 15 minutes into the market open. Just wanted to come in here before the market hits the news session at 3:45 local time, that is, so 15 minutes after market open. So that's in 1 minute here. We got quite a lot of news coming out. No idea what it's going to mean, but it might give us a spike in one direction or another. So that's in 10 seconds now. Let's have a quick look at that. See what happens. And then we'll go into what happened yesterday. There goes the spike. And we'll see what happens. But the first 15-minute bar has now been formed. The second one is forming as we speak, which is the one we are interested in. Big spike down on the Dow anyway. On the Nasdaq we have a not even opened this chart yet today. Not much of a change. It's really been pushing the Nasdaq overnight, huh? It's really pushed. Yesterday it finally broke out of its range down here that we're discussing on the stream. Actually it broke out to the upside, which I was looking more for a breakdown to the downside in my opinion, but yeah, it broke to the upside, which is what it is. Nothing to really say about it. We weren't on board and we weren't losing money, so it's nothing really that affects us. Yeah. Just gonna put a quick chat in here. 1 second. Okay, so we have put our usual message in the live chat, just in case anyone joins halfway through, like we had yesterday. Yesterday we had a good day yesterday. Didn't go 100% how I wanted it, but it went according to plan, which is important. We got taken long in the first 15-minute bar after the in the first 45 minutes basically of the market. We got taken long off this bar here. Very small risk bar. When it formed at 345, we got taken long, and we came up to about 38,140, which was about maybe $40 of profit. Before we made this big red, very bearish candle. I don't usually look at if it's bullish or bearish in the sense of how strong the market is and things like that, but it's very rare that we get a candle that actually finishes on the low with no wick at the bottom and basically 1 point of a wick at the top as well. If you look at all the other candles in the market, it's usually got some sort of wick at the top and bottom. Very rare that we had that. Anyway, we got taken short, so we lost $58 on the first trade, and then we got taken short, and we had our take profit at 37979. That is finding the bottom of the market, right? That was a really I actually took profit at I think 81 or 82 because I was worried that it wasn't going to go any lower. I didn't want it to go back up to my break even, and it would have been very close to doing that. Very close to doing that. I would have been filled 979. I would have got my take profit, but yeah, it would have been close. But that's finding the bottom of the market, I think, right? Because I mean, it went down by how many more points? 7.9, 7.8, 7.7, 7.6. Yeah, I think the lowest it went was 7.5, so we went down by 4 points more. So to find that low of the day, completely unintentional, completely lucky, but would have been very unlucky if it hadn't triggered, and if it hadn't if I hadn't taken my profit. So yeah, it was a good day overall. We made $80.76 after commissions, which is a decent day. Nothing to rub your nose up at. We got, for the week, we got $128, which compared to other weeks isn't the best, but I average week a minute before this week has probably been about $300, just over $300 a week, which is okay. We're trading 3 micro contracts on the Dow. I plan to scale up in the future. We're currently at 1,103 total profit for the month, and the account balance is at $26,186.88. So we need another $13.12 to get to our funded target. We're hoping to get it this week. Still probably need a couple of days, at least 3 days probably, for us to get to where we want to be, because I usually aim for about 100 points. With 3 micro contracts, that is a profit of $150. So, and we're short 312. Sorry, 314 or 313, whatever. So yeah, so we actually need just over 2 days worth of trading if everything goes well. If we get a good day today, a good day tomorrow, then hopefully we'll get funded on Friday. That would be exciting to go funded on live stream, and then from next week then we could start trading our actual funds as a funded trader, Apex trader. If you don't know what an Apex trader is, you've probably heard me say it before if you watched any of my videos, but Apex is a company that funds traders for people like myself who don't want to risk their own money, and you pay a fee every month. It's like usually $150 a month, but at the minute there's a 71% discount until the end of the month, end of January, and it ends up to be about $30 to $40 a month, which is a lot cheaper than, especially if you trade your own money, because if you trade your own money you can lose $40 like that. But you can also make $40 like that, but it's more than likely you're going to lose $40 like that. And if you're not used to it, the emotions can kick in, and yeah, things can go wrong pretty quickly. So I advise people to definitely not go straight in with their own money, and if they do go straight in with their own money, then to use the smallest size that you possibly can use. But I've done it before. I've done it with my own money. I've lost my own money before, stupidly, unluckily, I would say, but everyone would say unluckily. And I wasn't balanced enough to survive, so to speak, to survive the downturn that I was going through at the time. But I've tried to pass these in the past. These accounts, I've passed 1 or 2 before, and then I've blown them straight away, straight after. But the one I'm doing at the minute is a $25,000 account, so Apex if I pass this account, this is obviously a sim account. If I pass it, then I go into, I don't know if it's sim or if it's real account, but basically it's trading with money that I can then earn. And essentially I have a maximum drawdown of $1,500. So whilst we say we have $1,500, the $2,500, we $25,000, we don't have $25,000. We have only $1,500 to play with, so to speak. But you can go on to different levels, but that's all different prices and things like that. But the link is in the description if you want to, if you're interested in it at all. It's definitely worth a look. Definitely much better than trading your own resources. But yeah, so we're what was it, $314 away from passing this test. Again, last time I did this and I passed probably kind of luckily. I was doing it using minis, which is a factor of 10 bigger than what we're doing now. Well, what we're doing now is 3.5 times bigger than what we're doing now. But a mini is a factor of 10 bigger than a micro, and we're doing 3 micros now. So, yeah, it was a lot more risky, it was a lot more leveraged, and with only $1,500 on the drawdown, it was probably quite lucky to actually pass that test. And the luck obviously ran out when I passed the test, because I blew it pretty much straight away after that as well. So. But that was the old me. That was us doing technical analysis on a daily basis, and technical analysis does not work, guys. Does not work. It's a sure way to make sure you lose your account. But the markets are going strong at the minute, huh? We've got new highs on the Dow, new highs on the Nasdaq, new highs on the S&P yesterday. Sorry, not on the Dow, but on the S&P and on the Nasdaq, we're making new highs daily at the minute. And this is all at the time when everyone's talking about a recession. Like, it's just interesting that these analysts and these people that are predicting a recession and trying to scare people into a recession essentially is probably it's in their best interest to have a recession. They're probably betting big that we're going to be, market's going to crash and go into a recession of some sort. So of course that's why they're telling us that we're going to have a recession, because they need other people to believe that it's going to be a recession as well. Recessions are only caused by people telling each other stories, and that's pretty much why we're going to recession. Generally, people across the world are getting wealthier, getting more money, increase in money, and better services as well. So there's no reason for us to really go into a recession, in my opinion. But we will, as humans, sometimes scare ourselves into one, unfortunately. But yeah, we've got the second 15-minute bar is coming up here. It's got a current risk of 197 to 133, so that's going to be 64 points plus 10, 74 points. So that's going to be a risk today of about 110 either side, so $220. Pretty much a risk that we're going to be max. We can lose if we lose both trades that we potentially will take. The long I'm going to be looking at 38.202. I'm actually going to put that in shortly. I've got 1 minute now until this candle finishes, and then the short will be 5 points below the current bar as well. But I'll put that in second because it looks like it's going to be quite close. I don't think there's any news coming out on the hour. No. nothing coming out on the hour, so that's it's good. But there's something coming out at 4:30, so that might cause a spike of some sort again. So I put the buy order in here.
Order working.
That is in place, and then our sell order 38133 minus 528 is where I'm planning on putting it for now. Hopefully the current bar doesn't start pushing down before in the next 10 seconds, then that's where it will be. Yeah, that's fine.
Order working.
Well now. So stop loss goes up here on the opposite respective order, and we aim for 100 points. So 302 will be the buy side, and the short side will be 028. Yeah, that seems reasonable. And now we wait. Now we wait. Consistency is key. This is consistency. This is consistency. Even if we have a losing day today. Notice on a Wednesday we've actually always taken 2 trades. The last 2 days have been two trades as well. Interesting, because up until then, for the whole month, the only days then when we took 2 trades was on Wednesday. Well, it's looking like we're going to get taken short. There we go. We are filled.
Stop filled.
3 contracts. 3 micro contracts on the Dow. We are filled short. What is the Nasdaq doing? Nasdaq's not really doing much here at the minute. S&P is also pushing lower. But it is moving today a little bit more than the last few days, which is nice. Yesterday was super slow, not really much movement, especially in the first hour and a half anyway. And then it started to move a little bit. Today's been a bit quicker so far, especially off the open, so that's nice. Hopefully it'll stay up like that. I'd love for a short day today. Every day is I'm wishing for a short day, but the last few days haven't been like that, so unfortunately. So I'm going to assume my lying position right now, just to get a bit more comfortable whilst we're in this trade, because it might take a while. And I'm going to turn the light on as well. Okay, so hopefully you can still see me okay. Yeah, it looks like it. I'm just going to move the camera down slightly. Now it looks like I'm about to do something on OnlyFans or something like that. But don't worry, I won't entertain you with anything like that. But we have... yeah, you can hear me okay here, hopefully. Yeah, it seems to be coming through quite strong. We have quite a strong push to the downside at the minute, which is nice to see. The S&P is really going, huh? The Nasdaq is trying to break out of its range again. We had this yesterday. Just breaking out of its range all day yesterday, and today it seems to be trying to break out of another range. The Dow is, yeah. Don't know how far this is going to go down. We got a double bottom here. See if that causes any sort of bounce. But the S&P definitely looks like it's the weakest at the minute, at least from the open. I'd say the Dow is probably quite weak as well, which is good. We want to be short the weakest market. The Nasdaq seems to be the strongest today so far, anyway. Yeah. So if we start to push here, where can we put our stop? We've got quite a nice stop here potentially. Trade 177, 176. We can move our stop down to there, but I want to get lower first. I want to make sure there's no bounce off this double bottom before, or if there is a bounce, then I want it to clear any initial buyers that will potentially bring our stop up, bring the price back up to our stop. But yeah, if we could get the stop down, because it is quite a large risk of like $120 maybe. It's 74 points risk, so that's times that 1.5, and that's how much. That's how much we're risking in terms of monetary value anyway. But yeah, if we could get a stop down to 38,177, I would be happy with that. That would take off. That would give us 50 points worth of risk, which is only $75 risk on the first trade. But we'll see if we can do that. I'm looking to possibly move it down once we get past, if we get past, I should say. Yeah, if we get past 38,100, down, further down, around 95, 38,095, then I'm happy enough to move my stop down. Nasdaq's not breaking out of its range. It's just the same story as yesterday, isn't it? It's it might test for the highs again now, the Nasdaq. Unfortunate, because if all three markets, the S&P, the Dow, and the Nasdaq, were all in agreement with each other which way do you want to go, then quite often there's a big decline in the market or a big uptrend in the market. But quite often the Dow doesn't really want to move anywhere unless, well, none of the markets really want to move anywhere unless all the markets try and go with it anyway. But we're definitely in the right one at the minute, I think. We're definitely weak on the weakest market, one of the weakest markets anyway. The Dow at the minute compared to the Nasdaq. We're in a short on the Dow, which is promising. I'd rather be short on a weaker market than long on a weaker market. If I was going to be long any market at the minute, I'd rather be long on the Nasdaq. You got a nice 40 point, 50 point range here on the Nasdaq. But this rally from the Nasdaq is definitely what's stopping both the S&P and the Dow from falling at the minute. We'll see if the Nasdaq breaks out up to the upside, because it has had a big increase today so far. 17,700. I remember when I first started long-term investing, I was investing at 16,500 about 2 years ago, almost pretty much. That's when I started doing long-term investing. And for the last 2 years, it's just been sitting below 16,500 pretty much. And now it's 17,500, which is, crazy. Shows how powerful time is in the market if you're constantly investing and constantly rebuying your positions. But we'll see what's going to happen. See if the Dow's not really wanting to rally like the Nasdaq is, and the S&P is sort of stuck somewhere in between. So I think we are definitely in the right market for a short. But I don't know what the Nasdaq's going to do and how it's going to affect us, because it's trying to push to the upside. It'll be interesting to see if it actually does break out of this, above this. Logically it would break out, because I mean, you've had so much upside, and the market tends to continue doing what it's been doing consistently for 80% of the time, and then 20% of the time it will start doing something differently. So logically it's been going up all day. It's more than likely going to go up. It's quite unusual to be able to find that. You're quite unlucky if you buy at the high, I should say. Just like it's equally unlikely that you're able to sell at the high of the day or buy at the low of the day. Top pickers and bottom pickers become cotton pickers is the saying we went over yesterday. Basically, you're going to blow your account if you try and find the tops and bottom of the market all the time. So we almost made it down to where I was talking about here, around about 38,095 before I want to move my stop. If we start pushing down there again, then great. I will definitely move my stop down to reduce our risk and take some risk off the table. But it's not trying at the minute. It's not. Let's just push back up to our open. Yeah, Nasdaq's really trying to push out of there, huh? S&P's trying to fall a little bit as well. Yeah, I'll be interested to see if this. What happens? I'm interested to see what happens on the Nasdaq, really, because I think that will influence how this Dow trade goes. But we're currently at the highs of the day, all-time highs, I should say, on the Nasdaq pretty much. 10 points away. And the Dow is A, not near the highs of the day, and B, not near the highs, all-time highs either. All-time highs being at 38,302, I think. That was on the daily chart as well. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not too worried that the Nasdaq's pushing higher. Great if it does, but the Dow is definitely weaker at the minute. The S&P is, I would say, stronger than the Dow as well, because we are definitely closer to the all-time highs than the than what the Dow is. But Nasdaq is about to push into all-time high territory again. There it is. There it goes. All-time high. 17,700. What's the Dow gonna do? Dow isn't making much of a move, which encourages me a lot. In fact, it's actually dropping as the Nasdaq pushes high. The correlation between the two is unusually dissimilar. But I would have loved to have been long the Nasdaq down here. That was my old strategy, using these blocks to get in. I probably would have gone long here, 17,632, but it wouldn't have triggered, so I would have been cursing right now. But we're not. We are short the Dow, 3 contracts, and we're looking like it's going to potentially make lower prices as well on the Dow, which is good when the Nasdaq is making higher prices. See what happens? The Nasdaq is pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and the Dow doesn't really do much in relation to that. But as soon as the Nasdaq stops pushing and it starts to drop back down in price, then the Dow really starts to push lower. That's why I say I think Dow is the weakest at the minute, because when there's a push on all 3 markets, then the push on the strongest market is going to give us the greatest upside, which is the Nasdaq. The S&P being somewhere in the middle, and on the weakest market, that push is going to be limited. So if we can last this push overall in the Nasdaq and the S&P and the Dow, and we can stay in this trade, then so basically it doesn't hit our stop, then once the Nasdaq does start to find some resistance, then we might get quite a drop on the Dow. That's my thinking anyway. But this is all speculation, my friends. I do not know. And we say this every day. No one knows. Otherwise, we would all be rich men and women, if you happen to be a woman. But by the way, 100% of people who watch my content are men. 100%. I think that says something, huh? Obviously, I can't tell the people who are not signed in if it's men or women, but yeah. 100% of people who watch this content are men on my channel anyway. So, the majority of you from India. So hello to India. And second place I think is the United Kingdom or the US, which makes sense. Mainly English speaking countries, and then some other countries. But then we're getting down to the single numbers of viewers. So Nasdaq is still pushing. Don't know when it's going to hit any resistance, or if it's going to hit any resistance. It will do at some point in its future. I'm 100% sure of that. But I don't know if it's going to hit any resistance today. That's all. It opened at 17,693. So it's So it's pretty much at its open price now. Dow's just sitting around at my entry points as well. S&P not doing an awful lot either. It's push on the S&P has been definitely weaker than it has been on the Nasdaq. Nasdaq's at all-time highs, and the S&P is within the recent all-time highs. So that's why I say it's a weaker market for the S&P, and the Dow is by far the weakest market. And that's the one we're short, and that is exciting because you want to be short the weakest market. If we push below this previous candle, then I'm going to move my stop down. There's probably two good logical places that I could put it now. I'm going to put it up here though at 675. Yeah, 775, yeah. I put the stop up there anyway. And see, and then potentially if we move lower, then I can move it down to 38145, something like that. To try and get as much of the risk off the table as I can. Dow seems to be sort of stuck in this range here at the minute between 152 and 095, ironically, which is where I wanted it to break. So if it breaks through that, then I'm happy that it's at least trying to break out of this range, and I'm happy to move my stop lower. We do have some more news coming out of 4:30 local time, so 1 hour after the market has opened, and that is in 8.5 minutes. So we'll see what that does, if anything. It's a red one, some sort of pref conference from BOC. I don't know, some sort of bank of Canada. Yeah, Canadian dollars probably. So probably the Bank of Canada. So I don't think that it will. I don't know. It's red. It might affect the Canadian dollar quite a lot, but I don't think it's gonna affect us too much. Maybe we'll get a small jump of some sort in some direction. Well, what's happening on the Nasdaq? It's still above its recent all-time highs anyway. Not really pushed much since then. Dow has fallen further, which is good to see. We have a double bottom here actually, with this one here. The traders might see and think, "Ooh, that's a good place to buy." So we may have had some early buys in here before. That's when we first touched this double bottom. And hopefully they'll be shortly disappointed with the way their trade's gonna go, because we've got about 4 points to go to get to lower, and at which point they may have a stop loss at, I don't know where they would put the stop actually, maybe here, 38080, maybe lower, maybe here, yeah, 59, something like that. You may put a stop loss here if you bought here. So 40 points. But if retail traders are seeing that, then that's good news for us. I missed that completely. Try and figure out what the retail traders are doing and then kind of do the opposite. That's what you want to do. What I should say is that what the majority of retail traders are doing. Not every retail trader is doing rubbish trades like that. Wonder if we're gonna get any day this week. That's a quick day. Oh, it's not the most comfortable position today. So I'm gonna change again. Hopefully you can hear me still. It seems like you can, so I just move the microphone a bit closer maybe, and if I leave it further away, then yeah, it's a bit quieter, obviously. That makes sense though. So I hold it up a bit closer. But what is happening? Not much at the minute. Nasdaq's pushing higher again. Nasdaq is really strong today, huh? But Dow's not moving anywhere with it, which still encourages me. The S&P is also trying to push higher. So both of those markets are really trying to push higher, and the Dow is not trying to push higher right now. For some reason I can't see my mouse. That's strange. I can literally see where my mouse is pointing, but I can't see my actual pointer. It's unusual. Anyway, we got news coming out in 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes. I don't think it's going to affect us much, because it's going to affect the Canadian dollar a bit more, I think. Nasdaq's still pushing higher. The S&P is also pushing higher. It's frustrating how I can't see my mouse. Why can't I see my mouse? I don't know. I'm gonna have to put up with it, I think, for now. Just hope that it comes back at one point. Frustrating how I can't see it. I literally can't see my mouse at all. I do have a touchscreen on my laptop, so I may have to use this a bit more. Let's try and get to where I want to go. Oh, there we go. I can see my mouse again now. That was strange. So yeah, Nasdaq is definitely pushing higher. I think it might get somewhere around 20 and find some sort of resistance. That's what I want, but whether it's gonna do that or not, I don't know. One thing that I have noticed that Trades by Matt has kind of correctly noticed is that on the Nasdaq, he calls it the magical 20s, so 1720 and the 80s as well. So try and find some examples. The highs and lows of the day quite often are around the 20s. So yesterday around the 20s, and the low around the 20s as well. The day before that around the 80s, and the low not applicable. Quite often get bounces off the 20s and the 80s, quite big bounces as well, and I quite appreciate the fact that he found that. Doesn't work every day, as you can see, but when it does work, it works quite nicely, because it works out to be quite often the highs and lows of the day, or you get a decent bounce anyway. You can maybe hear my son in the background having fun with his mum. But here we go. It's maybe found some resistance here at on the Nasdaq, and if it has, then it might stop this big push, at least temporarily anyway. And if all three markets stop pushing, then hopefully we're gonna get a big fall on the Dow anyway. That's the weakest market. I mean, look at this. For the last 3 15-minute bars on the Nasdaq, we've had 3 big green bars. On the S&P, we've had 1 red and 1 what would be interpreted as retail trading as a big reversal bar, and then a big trend bar as well. And on the Dow, we've had 1 big red bar, a red doji, and the one before that was also a big red trend bar as well. So definitely the weakest market is the Dow today, so far anyway. We'll see how that pans out a little bit later, but if it wants to keep doing that, then that's fine by me. Yeah. If today goes well and we get the $150 on the from this trade, this short, then that keeps us in line for potentially getting funded this week. I may even do a video over the weekend about being funded and how the process went after we got funded, if we get funded this week. But if today goes wrong, as in we get stopped out of this trade somehow, even if we get $150 on the next trade, then there's a good chance that we will not get funded this week. Well, potential chance we will not get funded this week. Same for tomorrow, and but if we get 2 good days in a row where we hit our take profits on the first trade, then we're very, very close to passing the evaluation this week. We will need like $12, so I just enter a trade like usual. I won't take any stupid trades, but I'll just enter a trade like usual and pray that it doesn't go against us straight away. And then once we've got those $12 in the bag, then we close the trade, and then that's it for the day. That will be a short stream, hopefully. Yeah, but that's if today goes well and tomorrow goes well as well. Otherwise, we may be here next week trying to pass the evaluation still. But looking at what's happening at the minute, it does fill me with confidence, but the fact that the Nasdaq is pushing and the Dow isn't, and that the ES is pushing as well, it still fills me with confidence, but it also fills me with a little bit of worry that if there's no up, if there's no sort of if the Nasdaq doesn't find any sort of resistance, and the ES doesn't find any sort of resistance, then eventually the Dow is more than likely going to just give up on its weakness as well, and start to find higher prices as well. And in that case, then I don't know where it's going to go to. Ironically, my take profit is literally on the all-time high. So if we get taken long, then we will be aiming for the new all-time high on the Dow for the day, at least. But there's not an awful lot happening, so I'm gonna nip to the bathroom, I think. In fact, let's see if we can get our stop down here, see if the Dow tries to push lower. If it pushes below the 15-minute bar, this one here, the 2 bars before the current one, then I'm gonna move my stop down to 70, what was it? I can't remember what we said. To, 75. 38175, at least for now. And then we reduce our risk.
Release.
Okay, we're back at our entry points essentially, so it's not looking like it's going to break lower at the minute. The Nasdaq is just pushing and pushing and pushing, so I'm a bit worried that the Dow is just going to give up on being weak and start to find higher prices as well. But yeah, don't know, the Nasdaq is really going, it's like a freaking train at the minute. It's up at 1% on the day already. From the market open anyway. The S&P is up 0.5% for the day, and the Dow from the day open is down. So I'm going into the bathroom, and I will be back in a second. Maybe something will happen whilst I'm away. Okay, so at least we've had some sort of movement whilst I was away. The thing is, when I go to the bathroom, my child sees me and he instantly is happy, and then he gets upset that I've left again. So Nasdaq is still pushing higher and higher and higher and higher. It's just non-stop, huh? S&P's just made new highs of the day, all-time highs, I think, as well. It's exciting stuff, but not exciting for our current day position. It's a shame we couldn't get our stop loss. We could have got it down if we wanted to. We could have moved it down. We could move it down now if I wanted to. It's 77, but it's a shame that it didn't break lower than where I wanted it to break, so that I could get the stop down, because that would definitely have reduced our risk. And yeah, I was just worried that if it didn't break this 95 points here, then we wouldn't have pushed lower, and that's essentially what happened a little bit. It didn't break that point. That was essentially the low of the day so far anyway. We'll see what happens. Because the other two markets are going like there's no tomorrow. And then the Dow's trying as well. Been frustrating a couple of days. It's not frustrating a couple of days. It's just been a couple of days where it's we get taken one direction, and then after 3 or 4 bars, then we get taken the other direction. And it's just annoying at the minute. So yeah, we would have been stopped out here if I had moved my stop down. But we didn't in the we didn't in the end, and maybe we'll regret it. Maybe we will. Maybe it will save us. Who knows? But we are getting close to our stop loss now. 202, so we're about 14 points off. Looks like we're gonna get stopped out. About $110 it'll be. Yeah. Oh, it's very close, but I think it's gonna be stopped out. This could be some sort of miracle if we don't get stopped out. There we go. Now
Order cancelled.
We had slippage as well, so we had even more of a loss, unfortunately. So we're gonna have to move this slightly as well. 33, so 28 will be our stop loss for this one. So our max loss will be $230, which is quite big. Annoying that we couldn't have got our stop down. But it's looking like this week we won't be funded now as a result of this. But it's fine. It's fine. It's what it is. I'm just hoping that we don't get 2 losers now. Because that was a big candle. That was a big 15-minute candle. A big bullish candle as well. And we're about to close this candle in around about 45 seconds. And when that sort of thing happens, then it makes me nervous that the next candle is just gonna... It's kind of like a trick for retail traders. They see a big candle, they think, oh, let's buy. And it's quite often a trick to trick you into buying, so to speak. So I don't like that kind of candle so much. If we start to move into good profit, then I'm going to try and move my stop loss again. The first logical place I can see is at 38, so it's taking 10 points off the table. Not an awful lot, but Nasdaq is just screaming, huh? There we go. That's 15-minute candle closed. And let's see what happens on this next one, because quite often, like I said, then if you get a big candle like that and it starts to reverse like this straight away, then quite often it can signal that we're just going to retrace all the way back down. And that'll be freaking annoying if this happens on this one. We got quite a lot of slippage as well. We got 2 points slippage. That's not too much. So far it's doing what I said it's going to do with this big candle and it being a bullish trap. Didn't even go above it, but it's quite often does this. Big bullish candle closing near its highs. Lots of people think, great, let's go with all the candle stick patterns and stuff like that, and then they buy and then it just rips back down in the opposite direction, and that's exactly what's happening so far. And our stop loss was just at the point where we got stopped out, unfortunately. It's frustrating. See if it does anything. Maybe it's gonna. The annoying thing is, it's a Nasdaq that led this whole charge, and Nasdaq went screaming high, but the Dow didn't. The Dow was the weakest, and then it just decided in the last, I think 5 minutes was it, that it was gonna do something as well. But it's still definitely the weakest market, the Dow. Currently, we got both the Nasdaq and the S&P are above the recent all-time highs, so yeah, the Dow isn't. Maybe we get lucky. We need a little bit of luck, huh? But currently down on the day, $118. At least if it does push up again, then it's given us a nice placement for our stop loss again. Around about 38,160. But that's if it pushes back up again. Thing is, I don't think there's any real reason why it wouldn't keep pushing higher after a push like that. But I'm just worried about how far down it's going to come before it does push higher. And our stop loss is down here at the minute, and it's getting closer and closer to it, unfortunately. And I'm thinking maybe it's going to stop around here, 148, but maybe it just does exactly what I said it was going to do and freaking go down for new lows on the day. Stays like this where it tests your patience and it tests your discipline as well, because is it frustrating to have a loser like that? Yes. Is it frustrating to have two losers like that? Very, if we get two losers. And yes, I'm frustrated a little bit because I felt like we were in the correct direction with the short on the Dow specifically. I feel like it's just been let down because of the Nasdaq pushing so hard and the S&P following it as well. But what can we do? It's nothing we can do about it. We control the only thing we can control, our risk, and psychologically, yeah, it's difficult because if we lose this, then it's going to take us below 26,000. Yeah, but the thing is, what I need to do is I need to remember that what I've done is I've followed the strategy today, and I could have reduced my risk on the first trade, definitely. I was very close to reducing the risk on the first trade. I was literally 3 points away from reducing the risk. At least down to about half of the risk that we had. And yeah, we would have had a less of a loss. But what I've done is I've stuck to the strategy, and that's something that I need to remember and be happy about, that I've done that. And remember that not every single day is going to be a winning day. Not every day is going to be a winning day. But we've not had a double loser on stream yet. I've had double losers in the past and they're freaking annoying. You don't get them very often when you have two bad trades like this in a day. The second one, at least, if you lose the first one, then your second one, at least you can usually try and get down your risk to break even. And even if it goes to break even, then yeah, it's pretty annoying. But at least you don't get two losers in a day. But it's not over yet. This trade hasn't played out completely yet, and it may still save itself. We have hope, right? Hope we always have. And if we're following a strategy, then that's the only thing I should focus on. Have we followed the strategy today? Yes, we have so far. And that's all we're gonna do. Okay, I say so far, but that's all we're gonna do. We're just gonna follow the strategy. And today, if it creates two losers, it creates two losers. It's a shame, but it is what it is. I just need to be happy that we have followed the strategy, and that it will in the long run give us the edge, and will in the long run give us the funding, and will in the long run do everything that we need it to do. So yeah, we are currently $60 down on this one. We're about 30 points away from stop loss, and we're 40 points away from our entry points as well. So but I see that quite a lot on I've seen it quite a lot in the past, that you get a 15-minute bar, a 10-minute bar, a 5-minute bar that finishes on its high, like the last one, big one, that looks like it's gonna go completely continue on in that direction. And the amount of people that I think buy on the close of that bar must be a lot, because the amount of times that it goes the opposite way after those kind of bars is a lot. Really is a lot. I've seen it quite a lot of times. Doesn't look like it's making a full reversal on this bar, but it's definitely made a significant reversal. And if it continues that on the next bar or not is another question. The bar closes here in 2.5 minutes. If it stays here for the next 2.5 minutes, or even pushes back up, I just don't want it to hit my stop in the next 2.5 minutes. That's when I start to feel uncomfortable that it's gonna do the same but in the opposite direction, you know what I mean? If it stays where it is here in the next 2 minutes, then I still feel comfortable being in this trade. Just don't want it to push down to the stop loss within the next minute and a half. Looks like we might be okay for now. I don't want to be on for too much longer either. So in the next 5 minutes, if nothing really happens, then I'm probably gonna at least finish the stream, and then leave the screen recording, and then I can put the results out later for the actual for how the actual trade went. "30 seconds here until this 15-minute bar closes." Okay, maybe we get lucky. Maybe we get lucky. Come on, Dal. What are you doing? Nasdaq's not really doing much at the minute either, and the S&P isn't doing too much either. So yeah, I think whilst it's not really doing much at this moment in time, I'm gonna call the stream to an end, and I will once this trade is played out, I will put it in a stream, not in a stream, sorry, in a short, and I will put it out later this evening. Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. We've done with the strategy what we always do. We know the strategy works long term. We're bound to have these kind of days where we have two losers potentially. We'll not have two losers yet, but potentially, and that's what we need to remember. That's what I need to remember anyway. Yeah, we didn't have any extra viewers today on the stream, I don't think. No, just no extra viewers. So if anyone's watching this after the fact, then thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something today. And I'll be here for live stream tomorrow, and I will put out the results on a short later this evening when the trade has fully played out. Thank you for watching. Have a great evening, and enjoy the rest of your day.